Fairy tale from the Grimm's fairy tale. Page 63, The Magic Herbs. Once upon a time there was a young hunter who went into the woods in search of game. He was of a bright and cheerful disposition, and as he walked along, he whistled on a leaf. An ugly old hag appeared and said to him, "Good day, dear hunter. You seem merry and content, but I am hungry and thirsty, so give me a trifle." The good-natured fellow's pity was excited, and he put his hand in his pocket and gave her a bit of his fortune. Then he wished to walk on, but the old hag held him back and said, "Listen, dear hunter, as you have such a kind heart, I will give you a present. Go your way, and after a while you will come to a tree on which sit 9 birds with a mantle in their claws. Take aim with your fowling piece and shoot into the middle of them. They will let the mantle fall, but one of the birds will be hit too and fall dead on the ground. Take the mantle with you, for it is a wishing mantle. You have only to throw it over your shoulder, and you will find yourself at once in any place you may wish to go to. Take the heart out of the dead bird's breast and swallow it whole, and you will find every morning when you get up a gold coin under your pillow." The hunter thanked the wise woman and thought, "She promises me pleasant things. I wonder if they'll come to pass." But he had not gone 100 steps when he heard a great twittering and calling among the branches, and on looking up he saw a number of birds tearing with their claws and beaks at a cloth which they dragged about. They were fighting and disputing as to which of them should have it. "Really, this is wonderful!" exclaimed the man. "Everything is happening as the old crone said it would." And he took aim and fired so that the feathers of the birds thickened the air. The convoy took flight, but one bird fell wounded to the earth, and the mantle too dropped at his feet. Then the hunter obeyed the old woman's instructions, ripped up the bird, took out its heart, swallowed it whole, and carried the mantle home. The next morning when he woke up, he remembered the old woman's prediction, lifted his pillow, and saw the flash of a gold coin. The next morning he found another, and so it went on till he had a great pile of gold. Then at last he asked himself, "What is the good of all this wealth if I stay at home? I will use it and see the world." So he bade farewell to his parents, hung up his hunter's wallet and gun, and set off. It happened one day that he came through a dense forest, at the other end of which, lying in the valley, was a very grand castle. In one of its windows, an old woman and a beautiful girl stood looking out. The old woman was a witch and said to the girl, "There comes a man who has a wonderful treasure in his inside. We must relieve him of it, daughter dear. It will agree with us better than with him. It's a bird's heart, and every morning he finds a gold coin under his pillow." She then told the girl her design of robbing him and the part she was to play in the plot, and with flashing eyes threatened her that if she did not do so as she was told, it would be the worse for her. When the hunter drew near, he caught sight of the girl at the window and said to himself, I have walked a long way and will ask to be put up in this nice castle. I have enough money to pay for the luxurious quarters. But it was the pretty girl in the window that attracted him. He entered the house and was warmly welcomed and entertained. Then the old woman said, "Now we must get hold of that bird's heart. He will never miss it." She prepared a hot drink and when it had boiled, poured it into a goblet, which she told the girl to give to the hunter. "Here, my dearest," she said, "drink my health." He took the goblet and drained it. When he had reached the dregs of the bird's heart came out of his body. The girl picked it up on the sly and swallowed it herself. From this time forward, he found no gold coins under his pillow, but from under the girl's pillow, the old witch reaped a rich harvest. The young man, however, was so much in love that he took no heed of anything but the pretty girl. Then the old woman said, "We've got the bird's heart. Now we must have the wishing mantle." The girl answered, "No, let him keep it, as he has lost his wealth." The old woman flew into a passion and said, "A mantle such as that is a valuable possession. I will and must have it." So she gave the girl blows and said if she did not obey her, she would rue it. The girl thereupon did the old woman's bidding. She placed herself in the window and gazed at the distant view as if she were miserable. "Why do you stand there looking so sad?" asked the hunter. "Ah, my dear," she gave answer, "over there lie the granite mountains where the costliest jewels and precious stones come from. I cherish so great a longing for them that it makes me sad to think how impossible it is to get there. Only the birds that fly can go there, men never." "If that is the cause of your sadness," the hunter said, "I can relieve your mind." Thereupon he caught her under his mantle, wished himself at the granite mountains, and the next instant they were both sitting there. The costliest gems glittered all round them, and they gathered up some of the most precious. But the witch, with her magic, had made the hunter's eyes heavy and weary. He suggested to his companion that they should sit down and rest a while. "I'm so tired," he said. "I'm ready to drop." And he laid his head in the girl's lap and fell asleep. When he was in a sound slumber, she unfastened the mantle from his shoulders, put it over her own, and shoveling up her diamonds, rubies, and pearls, wished herself at home. When the hunter awoke, he saw the trick that his lady love had paid him, and that he was alone and deserted on the strange mountains. The mountain he was on belonged to some monstrous giants who lived there, and he had not been long awake before he saw them striding towards him. He lay down again and shammed being in a deep sleep. The first giant stumbled on him with his foot and exclaimed, "Here's a miserable earthworm lying inside out." "Trample on it," said the second. But the third said, "It's not worth the trouble. Let him be. He can't stay where he is. If he climbs higher to the top of the mountain, the clouds will carry him away." They went on, and the hunter marked what they had said. When they were out of sight, he stood up and climbed to the top. He sat there a few minutes, and then a cloud floated near. He caught hold of it, and after being wafted about in the sky, was dropped into a garden of herbs. The hunter looked round and said, "I haven't had much to eat lately, and I'm hungry. But there is no sign of apples and pears, or fruits of any sort. nothing but vegetable and herbs. At last, necessity drove him to appease his hunger with a salad. Though not very nourishing, he reflected, it'll at least refresh me. So he chose a fine lettuce, ate some, and at once experienced an extraordinary sensation. He felt himself changing utterly. He developed 4 legs, a thick head, and 2 long ears. To his horror, he saw that he was now an ass. Still feeling hungry, however, he grazed on another vegetable and discovered that he was changing again back into his human shape. After that, he lay down and slept off his weariness. The next morning, he took a specimen of both salads. These, he said to himself, shall help me to recover my property and punish the unfaithful. So, with a bundle of salad in his pocket, he went in search for the castle in which his lady love lived. He found it after 2 days' wandering. He stained his face brown so that his own mother would not have recognized him, and went up to the castle asking to be taken in. I am so exhausted, he said, I cannot go another step. The witch asked, What is your business, my good fellow? Who are you? I am one of the king's scouts, he said, and I have been sent out to find the most costly salad under the sun. I am thankful to say that I have been successful and have it with me. At the mention of a choice salad, the old witch's mouth watered, and she said, My dear fellow countryman, let me taste this wonderful salad. Why not? He said, I have brought away 2 bunches and can easily give you one. And he handed her the dangerous kind. The witch suspected nothing and took it into the kitchen to prepare it herself. When it was ready, she could not wait till it was on the table, but took a leaf or 2 and put them in her mouth. Directly she had swallowed it, she lost her human form and ran away across the yard as an ass. Then the servant girl came into the kitchen and, seeing the salad was ready, took it to carry upstairs, but from old habit tasted it on the way, because an ass likewise became an ass likewise, and ran after the other into the yard. Meanwhile, the hunter sat waiting for the pretty girl for the salad, but as no one brought it, she said, I wonder where the salad is. So meanwhile, the hunter sat with the pretty girl and they were waiting for the salad. The hunter thought that the herb is beginning to act by this time. He then said aloud, I will go down to the kitchen and inquire for it. When he got there, he saw the 2 asses rambling about in the yard and the salad on the floor. He picked up the remaining leaves, laid them on the dish, and took them to the girl. She ate some of it, and like the others, was at once deprived of her human form and ran into the yard as an ass. Afterwards, the hunter washed his face so that the transformed ones could recognize him, and going into the yard said, Now you shall pay the penalty of your falseness. So he bound them together with a rope and drove them along till they came to a mill. He tapped on the window pane, and the miller put out his head and asked what was his business. I have 3 stubborn animals, he answered, that I can't keep any longer. If you take them off my hands and give them board and lodging, I will pay you well. All right, said the miller, but what shall I do with them? Then the hunter told them to give the eldest ass, the witch, 3 beatings a day and only 1 meal. The second ass, the servant girl, 1 beating and 3 meals. And the youngest, his former sweetheart, no beating and 3 meals, for he could not harden his heart to allow the girl to be beaten. After this, he returned to the castle and found there all he wanted. In a few days, the miller came and informed him that the old ass who had been given 3 beatings and only 1 meal a day was dead. The 2 others, he went on, are still alive and get 3 meals, but they are so depressed and sad. I don't think that they can last much longer. The hunter, touched at this, allowed his anger to abate and told the miller to drive them back to him. When they came, he gave them the other bunch of salad to eat so that they could become human beings again. Then the pretty girl fell at his feet and said, "Alas, my love, my mother forced me to do wrong. Pardon me, for I did not do it against my will. Pardon me, for I did it against my will. I love you dearly. Your wishing mantle hangs in a cupboard over there." This quite pacified him, and he said, "Keep them both, for it is all the same thing. I intend to make you my wife." So they married and lived happily together ever after.